Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahabashai, Bahasham, Rakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabashai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and in this video, I'll be profiling an article from the cooldown.com titled, Farmers Warn Food Aisles Will Soon Be Empty Because of Crushing Conditions. We are not in a good position. There is a concern that we won't ever have the volumes we had in the past, in the future. And hey, this is just another example of biblical prophecy continuing to take place because food shortages, famines, and adverse weather events would be taking place in the last days, which we're currently living in, really the last seconds of the last days. And these are all the judgments of Yahweh Bahasham Yahabashai upon the people of this earth for all the wickedness they've been committing. And this image you see right here of empty store shelves is something, hey, you're going to have to get used to in the near future. Just like we saw similar things like this during the whole situation from 2019 to 2021. And you saw how people were acting over a shortage on toilet paper and Lysol and other goods. Hey, it's going to be on a whole nother level when these true shortages and famines hit. The United Kingdom is facing dire food shortages, forcing prices to skyrocket, and experts predict this is only the beginning. And real quick, let's get Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. And this is Yahushua, the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, telling his disciples of some of the signs to look for to know that they were living, in the last days before his second coming. And while he was speaking to his disciples in the past, hey, he's really speaking to his disciples today who are living in these times. Hey, as it says in Romans chapter 15, everything written aforetime was written for our learning. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Hey, what you're currently seeing, nations rising against nations with these racial tensions out here, especially in the United States of America, and all these other heathen nations starting to turn against Esau Edom, the so-called white man, looking at these Edomites in the Western world as the cause for all the problems that, their people have been going through, colonization and, just Western hegemony pushing their way of life on these people. Hence why you've got things like the BRICS, an alternative, to dealing with the Western, financial, political, and military infrastructure, and kingdom against kingdom. What? The United States of America against Russia and China, the state of Israel against Iran, etc., etc. And there shall be famines and pestilences. What are we hearing about now? More and more talks of the bird FLU, becoming a major issue out here, and earthquakes in diverse places, which earthquakes are happening, damn near daily all across the planet. But what did it say? And there shall be famines. The United Kingdom is facing dire food shortages. And experts predict this is only the beginning. Verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Hey, we're just in the beginning stages of these things right now. It's about to get a hell of a lot worse. And it's really bad when the so-called first world, these Western nations, is starting to feel the pinch. But let's get into this article. What's happening? According to a report by The Guardian, extreme weather is wreaking havoc on crops across the region. England experienced more rainfall during the past 18 months than it has ever over any 18-month period since record record keeping began in 1836. Because the rain hasn't stopped, many farmers have been unable to get crops such as potatoes, carrots, and wheat into the ground. Usually you get rain, but there will be pockets of dry weather for 2 or 3 weeks at a time to do the planting. That simply hasn't stopped. That simply hasn't happened. Farmer Tom Allen Stevens told The Guardian. And like I said, famines, adverse weather events, you name it, would all be events taking place in the last days. This is Isaiah chapter 28, verse 2. Behold, the Lord hath a mighty and strong one, which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, and as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. And as we just read, according to the report by The Guardian, extreme weather is wreaking havoc on crops across the region. England has experienced more rainfall during the past 18 months than it has over any 18-month period since record keeping began in 1836. A destroying storm and a flood of mighty waters overflowing shall cast down to the earth with the hand. This is Isaiah chapter 29, verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of Yahweh of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and a great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire, which is talking about those nuclear missiles, which are going to be shot, during the end of World War III to the ends of the earth. And they're going to hit everywhere that you Edomites dwell. And the United States of America, Babylon the Great, as it's known in the scriptures, is going to be completely wiped off the face of the earth. This is Nahum chapter 1, verse 3. Yahweh is slow to anger and great in power, and will not acquit the wicked. Yahweh hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. So these adverse weather events destroying, farmers' abilities to, plant and sow a sufficient amount of crops, which is going to lead to what? Food shortages. It's all the will and the judgments from Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai to bring these plagues upon you people for the wickedness you've been committing. And real quick, this is Jeremiah 14, verse 22, because you have those smarty-arties out there that'll say, hey, this doesn't prove anything. Haven't you heard of a HARP and weather manipulation, or those Doppler radars, or cloud seeding? Hey, all those things, do exist and are playing their part, because the elites are also messing with things, the weather and the supply chain to disrupt it, to create these chaotic situations out there so they can bring that order out of chaos and get these people in a desperate, situation to accept, anything they push towards them, which is what? Their NW0, their GREAT reset, that fourth industrial revolution, where they want everybody on a digital cashless system and, completely locked into the grid, which is going to be predicated upon you having that C-HIP, RFID/NFC implant in your body, which is the MARKOFTHEBEAST in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18. But, hey, that's all through the will of the Most High as well. As it says in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1, the king's heart or mind is in the hand of the Lord. He moveth it whithersoever he will. And as it says in Psalm 17, verse 13, the wicked, who are these Edomites, is the sword of the Most High. The Most High, he's causing weather events, and he's also using these Edomites and the technology he's put it in their spirits to create, to further manipulate things to what? Fulfill prophecy. This is Jeremiah 14, verse 22. Are there any among the vanities of the Gentiles that can cause rain? HARP, Doppler radar system, cloud seeding, anything these elites do? Or can the heavens give showers? Art not thou he, O Yahweh, our power? Therefore we will wait upon thee, for thou hast made all these things. At the end of the day, it's all through the will of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai to fulfill his will, his prophecies, his judgments. Because the rain hasn't stopped, many farmers have been unable to get crops such as potatoes, carrots, and wheat into the ground. Usually you get rain, but there will be pockets of dry weather for 2 or 3 weeks at a time to do the planting. That simply hasn't happened, farmer Tom Allen Stevens told The Guardian. Farmers have also planted fewer potatoes, opting for less weather-dependent and financially secure crops. At the same time, many of the potatoes that have been planted are rotting in the ground. There is a concern that we won't ever have the volumes of potatoes we had in the past in the future. British Growers Association CEO Jack Ward told The Guardian, "We are not in a good position, and it is 100% not sustainable," Ward added. This is Second Esdras in the Apocrypha, chapter 6, verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. And what do farmers do when they plant crops? They sow them into their fields. And as we're reading that article, due to adverse weather events, farmers haven't been able to plant or, cultivate, sow a sufficient amount of crops. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And without a sufficient amount of crops being sown or cultivated, what's that going to lead to? Emptier and emptier shelves, food shortages. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Why is this important? English farmers aren't alone. People are struggling to grow crops worldwide because of extreme weather. Dry weather in Brazil and heavy rain in Vietnam have farmers concerned about pepper production. Severe drought in Spain and record-breaking rain and snowfall in California have made it difficult for farmers to cultivate olives for olive oil. El Nino and rising temperatures cut Peru's blueberry yield in half last year. Everyone's favorite drinks, coffee, beer, and wine, have all been impacted by the extreme weather. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. According to an ABC News report, the strain on the agricultural industry will likely continue to cause food prices to soar. And people, are already in the midst of inflation, which is quickly going into hyperinflation. People living paycheck to paycheck, having to decide, do I pay my credit card bill or do I pay, my rent? Do I go a few days? Do I eat a few less meals in a day? Or, do I buy clothes for my children? People are getting pushed in at every angle. This is also a part of biblical prophecy with what prices rising and people being able to buy less more with what they have. This is Revelation chapter 6, verse 5. And what did the Blue Letter Bible put as the header? The third seal, famine. And this is dealing with the so-called 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which are just symbolic for different events that would be taking place during the last days. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Verse 6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." And when we go to that word penny in the Strongs, it's G1220, denarion, which in the outline of biblical usage reads denarius, containing 10, a Roman silver coin in New Testament time. It took its name from it being equal to 10 asses, which, was another Roman coin. It started off, I think, being bronze. Then they later, debased it to being made out of copper. A number after 217 BC increased to 16, about 3.898 grams or 0.1375 ounces. It was the principal silver coin of the Roman Empire. So, think of it as, these main currencies of these different nations. The US dollar, the British pound, the euro. From the parable of the laborers in the vineyard, it would seem that a denarius was then the ordinary pay for a day's wages. And in the ancient world, and even in the, the laws of the scriptures, a man was paid his wages the very same day he worked. But in this wicked society we live in under the Edomites, you get paid, every 2 weeks. So what is this pretty much saying? A measure of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny. It's going to get to the point to where, like the Weimar Republic in Germany, to buy a loaf of bread, to buy a hamburger, a case of water, you're going to be paying damn near your entire paycheck just to get a few items. Hey, we're coming into some very dire times. That's it with this article. You get the point. But again, these are all the judgments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai that he's bringing upon this earth to judge you people for the wickedness you've been committing. And with adverse weather events, contributing to these coming food shortages, which are going to lead to famines and people being desperate out here, what's that going to lead to? Riots, chaos, people fighting and killing each other to get whatever food that they can get their hands on. This is back in 2nd Esdras chapter, back in 2nd Esdras chapter 6, verse 23. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another. And what's one thing that could cause, so-called best friends, neighbors, even close family members to fight one against another like enemies? The full storehouses being empty, food shortages, people's stomachs touching their backs. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. And in the midst of all this, the water is going to get cut off as well. Just the other week, a report came out that down in Texas, and that, the authorities blamed it on Russian hackers, which, hey, somebody's got to be the fall guy. They said that, Russian-linked hackers had hacked a town in Texas's water system and messed with it. So we're going to see that as well. More cyber attacks, cutting off critical infrastructure to further get these people desperate out here. But again, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, which plays into my last precept. 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. Friends fight one against another like enemies, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. And that modern day sword, especially in the United States of America, is the gun. But people are going to be using knives, bats, literal swords, chains, Molotov cocktails, you name it, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, food shortages, famines, and for great tribulation, all these other great and horrific calamities that Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is quickly bringing to this planet to judge you people for your wickedness. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.